do you like your tea? Piping hot, ice cold, how about with sugar or even milk? However you like your tea, we are sipping and spilling it here. Welcome to Spilling the Tea with Taminique, where today's brew is a local Scranton native, the founder of the Black Scranton Project, Glynis Johns. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So I came here a little bit ago and I met your bestie Amber. We were talking about it a couple of seconds ago, right before we started filming. And my third day, I think, here was when I met her. And she immediately was like, on Instagram, you have to follow Black Scranton Project. You have to. I didn't know you guys were best friends at the time, but she was like, you have to follow Glynis Johns. What does that mean to you to know that, like, even though she's your best friend, she's promoting you outside, but like, what does that mean to you to know that the work that you're doing is like speaking for itself already?
It's something that I'm now starting to process and be okay with because, when you're in the work, you don't really see the progress all the time. Like you're just like, you want to share your stories, you want to share a message, you want to get out there and create as much as you can. So when it starts taking off and people start noticing and start talking about the work that you're doing, it's a little surreal. Yeah. Like now so many people know who I am or like are being like, you need to speak to Glynis, you need to do this, you need to check out Black Scranton. So it's been really cool to, kind of start a movement and to start something new and exciting that's, buzzworthy. That's a household name almost in Northeastern PA. So
literally, it was my third day here, and everybody was already telling me about it. But we're gonna dive into Black Scranton Project a little bit later. We're gonna start from baby. We're gonna start from your childhood. And the reason when I saw this, I was like, I gotta ask her about this because I did the same thing. I grew up telling people that I was from New York. You grew up telling people that you were from Philly or Baltimore, but you're a Scranton native.
Yes.
Why were you doing that?
Well, I have like relatives and family there, and just growing up in Scranton in the 90s, early 2000s, it wasn't really giving Black culture. Like everything that we did, we had to go to Philly for, we had to go to Baltimore for. So we would look forward to going to the hair salon so we could stock up on our beauty products for the year. We would look forward to getting on the highway to listen to Black radio stations and watching 106 in Park. Like that's what I did all summer. So I would come back home and basic cable, it wasn't there.
Right.
Even like a lot of the Black movies that we know today weren't even coming to the movie theaters around here. So, with the digital age now, it's in 2026, like you have your phone, you have the internet. So back then the internet wasn't what it was. I was going to the Scranton Albright Memorial Library, signing on, making my Facebook and my MySpace.
I remember that.
Playlist.com, that piff, like downloading all my music on the library computer. So that's kind of where I got that from, and just like seeing things online and seeing other people. And I always knew I wanted to end up in New York City. So I was just like, I'm getting out of here. Yeah. And I'm not looking back. I'm going to go to New York, be my artist self. And I don't know, at the time I was thinking about like being in the medical field, went into school undecided. And then like shifted into sociology, met I met a whole bunch of friends in school, and I just really loved New York City. My older brother was there, and I just felt like I got to see so much in terms of like Black community, people, art, culture, food. Yeah. And I loved it. And then I started to do work on investigating why people believe there are no Black folks in Scranton.
Screaming.
And it called me back. And I just was like, I can't not share this with everybody. Everyone has to know of all of this history I found, because we cannot continue to say there were never any Black folks here when there were Black folks here.
Yes.
I grew up here, generations of my family, and then there is like Black folks here before a lot of Europeans here in the 1800s, the Underground Railroad cuts through Northeastern PA and Scranton and Waverly. And to hearing these stories of resilience of our community that chose Scranton as their home, it's like, I can't say that I hate Scranton anymore.
Love it.
This is making me feel like I'm proud of where I'm from. Yeah. So now to see people proud of the work that I'm doing and seeing that my self-pride in my city is making people feel more comfortable or wanting people to stay here or, change their ideas and the perceptions about Scranton.
Yeah, so take me back to the part where you said in school, like were you taught Black history in school? Because we're gonna put the cards on the table. Yeah. You learning about slavery, you learning about Martin Luther King, maybe Malcolm X.
Sometimes Rosa Parks.
And that was all.
And that was it.
So you were going online to learn your history. And was that before you got to school? Were you already doing some of that? Was it already kind of in your head? Because you mentioned 106 Park is for the culture. So like my mom, the reason I'm asking, because my mom, I was raised in all white schools. I went to private schools my entire life. But my mom made sure she knew where I was from. She outside of school, we was in the cheerleading programs that was predominantly Black. Like we was with our people. Was it similar like that for you?
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of like Black spaces, barbecues, the basketball teams and stuff. In terms of like reading and just trying to find Black books and Black culture. Yeah, I would go to the library. I would use the bookmobile, and I'm like, where are these books? They never had them. Sometimes they would try and order them. But yeah, my mom, she would always have like books in the house and stuff. And like we would have to read, like my grandfather got this like collection. I don't know, you would order it from, maybe it was PBS, something like a mail order collection of all these Black books about Black greats and legends, which now are in the center. So that's pretty cool. But my mom would, like, when we would get in trouble, she's like, go grab one of those books and then write me a paragraph.
Really?
So my brothers would hate it, but then I would just start reading all of them and like learning about like Dizzy Gillespie and Lena Horne and like all of these amazing people, Ida B. Wells. And I just loved it. I just thought it was really fascinating. Black history, and at the time I didn't know that it would turn into this. Like in high school, I would read through all of the books that we had to do for accelerated reader, and then I would go get like the autobiography of Malcolm X and you know, just like different slave journals and just like every book I can get my hands on, pretty much, that they weren't teaching us in school. And I loved like magazines, like Vogue magazine. I was always into fashion and like fun stuff like that. So I was definitely kind of like, I don't know, like I would be with the artsy misfits, but like I was always, and I was best dressed. I was still a cool girl, but I also like kind of felt like I was too cool for high school, but also felt like I didn't fit in, and like, I don't know, I just always wished to be somewhere that wasn't there.
Really?
Yeah.
So we're going to get into Black Scranton Project. I promise, guys. Stay tuned for that. But now that you've been back, before you got back, I want to talk to you about your time in New York City. You went there for school. Your brother lived there. You went to St. John's. You teased that you went for medicine originally, and then you said you started researching a little bit more. And then I also read that a professor encouraged you to pursue your passions. What was that conversation like when you were talking to him?
Yeah. So I went into St. John's and I took a couple courses, and I was like, I don't think I'll thrive in the medical field. It's a lot of studying. It's a lot of memorization. And I don't know, it just didn't end up feeling right. But I found the sociology department, and I started taking some intro to sociology courses. One of the first Black professors or Black teachers I ever had was Dr. Natalie P. Byfield. And I was just impressed and taken back by the way she just captivated the classroom. This Black woman who is so smart, who has this incredible career, is teaching us in front of my face. Like, I was blown away, you know, and I'm in college. I'm a freshman, sophomore. So I just would always go to her office hours. I would just talk to her about everything. She ultimately like became my mentor and my advisor. She was one of the first people to be like, you're smart, you're educated. Like, you got into school, you can do all these things, and there's resources here to help you. And so I just really appreciated her for, like giving me that self-confidence, but also remind me that I have the resources to be successful, because coming from the Scranton School District, it honestly doesn't set you up to be a successful student. I didn't get all the things that I needed to be prepared for college. I was smart, I was an overachiever, I made honor roll, but I wasn't in any AP classes. As much as I really wanted to be in those classes, I didn't get put there. Why? Because there is racial biases and disparities in our district, and I was a product of that. So that was another reason why I wanted to go. So, you know, having to unlearn things and learn a lot of things on my own was difficult. But she was also like, sometimes these are the things that you have to do, especially as a Black woman in education, you know. So she encouraged me to pursue my graduate thesis in the sociology department. No one had done a graduate thesis in over 10 years. And as an overachiever,
she said, I'm the first.
Like, you know, I'm a master's student. I'm going to do that. You know, I'll be a legend in the department. And like, I can add that to my resume if I want to go work on my PhD, you know, just like using it for that. And so I took on some long-term research, and I started to investigate that question, that stereotype, why there are no Black people in Scranton, why people just see Scranton as the office. 5 minutes already.
So at school, those were your classes. Those were what
Yeah.
you were specifically interested in. Were there programs for that too? Because at my school we had Black United Students, so that was a student org that I was a part of. Were there things like that at St. John's
Yeah.
as well that you were a part of?
Yep, they had the Black Student. Well, the Black Student Union didn't even form until I was an adjunct. I helped them do that. But we had
Really?
Haraya, which is like a Black student organization. There was different art groups. There was a lot of different spaces to be amongst like the Black community on campus. So I really fit in there. And then outside of that, I was working as a barista at Starbucks in Manhattan. So getting to see people from all walks of life really fed into my sociological background.
Yeah.
So that all kind of poured into who I am today. So I always try to remind young people too, like, you're gonna be doing a whole bunch of things in your career path, like making coffees, thousands of coffees a week can turn into like being able to work fast paced and talk to
Yes.
everybody, you know?
Yes.
Having to clean up Starbucks bathrooms on Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
You get to see people who are without homes to billionaires you're making coffee for. So you really get to see people where they're at. And yeah, it just fueled me. All of that stuff trained me to do the work that I'm doing now, to create the projects that I want to create, share the stories that I want to write and to create. So yeah.
Talk to me about the preparation process before we head to break really quick, because I feel like in today's society, it's everyone wants to see the finished product. That's what we all see on Instagram. It's what we see on Facebook. It's what we see on TikTok. But there's so much work that goes on behind the scenes before you post that smiling picture with that college degree or that founder's plaque. Like, talk to me about your preparation process before you were able to launch Black Scranton Project.
Yeah, so even still now, I still even struggle with posting stuff. But I just, once I like started to find these stories and newspaper clippings, and now I was really hyper fixated on collecting objects because like we didn't even have an archive. So now it's like, how do we build an archive? Am I just gonna give stuff to the Historical Society, or am I gonna maybe consider making things my own? So once I started building this archive of my own, I just wanted to share it. So January of 2019, I was like, woke up with an idea. I'm gonna go to the Steamtown Mall in Scranton and ask them if I can rent out a storefront, or like they could just give it to me for free because I have no money, and just put a pop-up exhibit of all of the stuff I wanted to do. Because at that point, I was also interested in museum curation, so trying my hand at that.
Multifaceted.
The National Museum for African American History kind of just emerged. This was like 2016 too at the time. So I'm like really getting excited and energized by like Black archives. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just try it out and see what happens. So they were like, you could pay the electric bill and you got 4 weeks, girl.
Yeah.
Do what you want with this space. So I ended up trying to throw something together, got a little bit of support from Lackawanna County Arts Department. It was like a $500 grant. I don't know.
Yeah. Was it difficult to find the newspaper clippings, the articles, maybe even people to talk to before you even opened your space while you were doing your thesis? Because sometimes people will say when it comes to Black history, oh, it's hard to find, so they don't know their history. Or people that aren't a part of our culture, I'm not going to look it up.
Yeah.
This is what I learned in school. Like, I'm good. This is what I know. Was that hard for you to be able to research and find all that information?
That was part of like my debunking process, because it was either going to be like, I can't find anything, not as a definitive, but like as an example to say, I can't find anything, but where else do we look? So that's exactly what happened. The Historical Society didn't have anything. The library didn't have anything. A couple other spaces had like a thing or two.
Yeah.
And then the newspapers, I would start plugging in different names and keywords and locations. And then that's where I started to build out things or connect the dots between data points and people and spaces and businesses. So yeah, and even now, like when I look back on my graduate thesis or like early research and now finding stuff that I had been looking for like now 10 years ago, it's really crazy, just because now things are being archived. Newspapers.com has so many more newspapers.
Yeah.
Anytime I get some free time, I'm always looking at old newspapers and seeing what they were talking about in Scranton.
Yeah.
Like my favorite little pastime.
It's a lot. So before we head into break, in our break, we're going to fully dive into her baby, Black Scranton Project. Glynis, thank you so much
such
for
a big story. I feel like so much happens, but I'm a conversationalist.
We had to learn about
talk.
everything before we dived into Black. So we had to learn about Glynis, who she was. So the next half of the show is going to be about your baby. It's about Black Scranton Project. You guys stick around. Spilling the Tea with Tia Monique. In case you missed the first half, please go back and watch it. But today's brew is a local Scranton native, the founder of Black Scranton Project. We've had a beautiful conversation on camera and off camera. Glynis Johnson, once again, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So before we went to break, we learned so much about you, your history, your childhood growing up, college. We learned a lot. Before we went to break, we left off on Black Scranton Project.
Yes.
We were teasing. We were easing our way into your baby. Your thesis at St. John's was kind of like the birth of Black Scranton Project. So when you started your thesis or when you ended your thesis, what was in your mind like, I need to actually turn this into a project?
So the entire process really just turned me into the person I am now. My graduate thesis was entitled "But You're Black: The Overlooked Community of Scranton, Pennsylvania." So I just think in the title itself, it was like a lot.
Yeah.
But as the project continued to develop, I knew that it wasn't going to be complete as when I concluded it at the 75 pages. It was going to be a start of something bigger. So I kind of just had to wrap it up with the end of my studies to do that. So that's what I did. I kind of just left it there, but I wasn't content. There were so many stories that I needed to track down. Like my biggest hero now came from my research, Louise Tanner Brown. She's a successful businesswoman. She took over her husband's business in 1926, over 100 years ago now, and made it the most successful business trucking company in northeastern PA.
Wow. Run
and operated by a Black woman in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
And these are things you would know.
Right. She was featured in like Ebony magazine, the Crisis magazine, the Journal for Negro Businesses in 1936. Like, just incredible. She did so much stuff for the community, made sure that kids were educated. There was funding. She was the founding trustee of Bethel AME Church. A lot of the first Black History Month, Negro History Week initiatives, she was starting and implementing here. Progressive Center, she's one of the founding trustees there. She's one of the leading Black women running the suffrage movement in Pennsylvania. She did so much, and it's crazy that, like, there's no marker, there's no remembrance of her, there's no photos anywhere. So I just ran with that. I went to everybody. I'm like, do you know this woman? She's an idol. Like, they talked about her style. She hosted great parties. She was an orator. She was a public speaker. Like, that was her main thing. She liked to be out in the community. She liked to put on performances and plays. Yeah. But she was running her, her former husband's business.
Right.
So all of that kind of like fed into why I wanted to share that. And then it turned into an exhibit. And then the exhibit turned into a nonprofit by June. On Juneteenth, actually, is Black Scranton's birthday.
Aww.
We're incorporated by the IRS, so I'm just like, it's the ancestors being like, you're supposed to be doing this work. So 2019, 2020, with everything happening during COVID and the Black Lives Matter movement, I started to get more aggressive in the community about policing and education at the time. The school district was going through a lot of stuff, so I really just got in there and started advocating. Yeah. And that's kind of how I got my start as a community leader. And then during 2020, I approached PNC because I wanted their building. I knew that they had a former bank facility that could ultimately be a great space for a nonprofit or like turn it into a community space. Now I had coming up on 100 items, artifacts, collections of an archive for our community. Yeah. And I needed a place to house it. So I approached them with a proposal like, hey, these are all the things that I can do with the property. You don't want it. Would you consider donating it to us? You've already supported our organization in different ways. So many people told me, no, they're never going to do that. That's too big of an idea. That's crazy. But I set aside some graduate studies and I wrote this what is it called?
Proposition.
This proposal. Yeah. Proposal out for them. And they asked me if I had a legal team. I got my legal team together. I gave it off to them. And 9 months later, by April of 2021, we got the bank. And now we're still there. The center is turning 100. Like, the actual physical bank is turning 100 this year. We're in our 7th year as a nonprofit. This is our 5th year having the Black Scranton Project Center for Arts and Culture. And, that's because I decided to, 1, work really hard, 2, put in the work and stay consistent. And if you can believe it, you can actually do it. Literally. Because the main thing for me, my own case study, my own test was getting the bank. Because so many people told me it wasn't possible. And I put in that work. And every day before I even got the bank, I'm saying but it's really the nonprofit. Before we got the bank,
Yeah.
I drove past it every single day. Like, if I can't drive past here every day, then I can't be in the bank every day. I can't expect them to give me this property, expecting me to do work here, if in this process, I can't stop by it.
Right.
So I did that, and, it must have worked.
Yeah.
Because I don't know anything else.
So what were those conversations like that you were having with yourself? Like those pep talk conversations when you were met with people saying, that's too big. You can't do that. That's a huge audacious goal. They're not going to give you this building this government building for free. What were the things that you were saying to yourself?
I just wanted to prove people wrong. I wanted to prove to myself that it's possible, and I wanted to prove people that this isn't an impossible ask, especially since there's examples of them doing it before. We just never saw it done before. We've never saw it done by a young black person and a young black woman who is from this city, who has more degrees than you, and has the ability and capability to do it, and has the ability to manage it. Yes, it didn't go according to plan. Don't get me wrong. Like, people probably saw my post asking for help with the gas bill. It's expensive.
Yeah.
It's a big project. However, sometimes you need community support.
Yeah.
That's what a nonprofit is for. So, yeah, I talk a lot, and people see all of the accolades, but a lot of people don't see the work that goes along behind the scenes by myself, with my family, with my friends. There's a board behind me. I have volunteers, so it is a lot of that support in it. And also, you got to get hurt. You got to get those bruises. You have to, it's training every day. Every day you do a little bit more so you can get a little bit further.
Yeah.
So I just remind myself that, and I'm in a creative career path that a lot of people wouldn't be brave enough to take. So I kind of now trying to rest in the fact that I'm confident and I am brave and I'm not afraid of a lot of things that a lot of people are afraid of.
Yeah.
And so I always tell people, like, just push yourself a little bit, put yourself out there, say the thing that kind of makes you scared a little bit.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid of what people are going to say back. People are going to not like the things you do all the time, And the more you say things, that means more people aren't going to like what you have to say.
I'm so glad you said that, because I saw a post on your Instagram that talked about well-behaved women seldom make history.
Yes.
Talk to me about that post,
I
and
know.
talk to me about
that.
just that statement, because that statement is so powerful.
That is, honestly, that post was really nice. It's was created by an artist named Airy Vision. He did really great art, like pictures and illustrations of like Michelle Obama, Erykah Badu, Tracee Ellis Ross. And I was like, I love your art. You're so cool. You're so cool. He was like, no, you're doing really dope stuff. Like, can I do some illustrations of you? And I'm like, sure.
Absolutely.
So then he made that, and he wrote that. He put that on there. And I just thought that was really incredible, because it's a true statement.
Yeah.
It really is. And just to see other people see that from me and then create art about it was also very empowering. Because, like, again, when you're doing the work, when you're just doing these things, you don't really see it. But as someone who's a lover of artists, Black artists, and culture and community, I'm always willing to just be like, can I buy a commission? Like, how do I
how
love
can I
your
support?
art. Yeah, how can I support?
Yeah.
How can I support? And like, wow, like, you want to support my art? But I don't even know if that answered the question.
No, it did. It for sure did. It leads me to my next question: the importance of taking up space in spaces that necessarily aren't meant for you. Talk to me about that. And because when you're going in these spaces, we're Black. We might be one of two. One of the even.
Only.
You see what I'm saying?
The only chocolate chip in the cookie dough.
You see what I'm saying? So talk to me about what are you telling yourself right before you walk into these big spaces, before you presented that proposal? You're going in spaces that people don't think a young Black woman should be in or belong in. What's going through your mind?
So for me, every day I try to, like, look at myself in the mirror and say, like, you can do this. Like, do what you can for the day. So my dad always told me that, like, if you have 50%, give 50%, 100% of that 50. If you only got 30, give 30. If you can do 100, give 100. Say you can give 110 now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Go do that. But set a goal, set whatever that is for yourself, and just commit to it, Today I was probably at like a 65. I'm like real tired.
We can't tell.
I no sleep. Like, I did not sleep at all. But it's like I was looking forward to this. I'm like, I want to come in here with all of my energy and give you the space and this time. So yeah, you just kind of have to go in there knowing yourself.
Yes.
Like, collecting yourself and being like, I am supposed to be in this room. I'm supposed to be at this table. And people will challenge you about that. So sometimes you just got to sit there. And also sometimes you got to put yourself in those rooms. a lot of times, especially in our city and in Northeastern PA, I'm like, I'm confused. Why is there not anybody representing?
Not one lick.
Yeah, like who is speaking on behalf of the BIPOC kids in the city? Who is, talking about Black business owners? We're passing all this legislation. How does this impact low-income folks, marginalized people? So I ask those questions. And, if I'm able to be a voice and give that, I definitely will. But if I'm at any space, I'm going to take up the space.
Yeah.
And sometimes your light makes people uncomfortable.
Talk about it.
And you don't have to you don't have to dim your light. You don't have to mute yourself and dim yourself down because someone is like blinded by your light. Absolutely not. Let them put some sunglasses on, baby. I'm sorry. This is how I'm coming into the room.
Yeah.
So, and I just had to deal with that, like super, super quick story. I know we're like running on time.
No, you're okay.
But I got invited to be a keynote speaker, which is really cool for a commencement ceremony.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. I was like, okay. And one of the faculty came up to me and was like, I'm sorry. I'm like really ignorant on this. I don't know who you are. I don't know how you got here or how you got to be the keynote.
Trying to diminish you.
Like, can you just tell me who you are? And I was like, yeah, I totally can do that. I'm sorry that, you weren't aware of who I was when they picked me. So I'm grateful to be here, but I'll tell you about me. And who are you? And then like the other faculty were kind of mouth agape like you.
Yes.
Because they're like, why would you say that? So it's like, sometimes people are going to push back, especially if they think that you're not qualified. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I might not have an MFA, but I am a creative writer and I come from a creative background. And I also have taught people how to write. I pushed through my own writing things and I'm a scholar. I'm an educator. So yeah, I tick all the boxes here. It might not be the way that you expected to. And as someone coming from a creative background, shame on you. But thanks for having me.
I am in awe of you, Glynis. I literally love you. I'm so glad that I was able to meet you. Really quick, plug all of Black Scranton projects, social media links so everyone can go follow.
Okay, Black Scranton on all social media, blackscranton.org. You can find out more about what we have going on. Black History Month, we have a full month of events because we will be celebrating the centennial of Black history, along with the centennial of our building, and just a whole bunch of great things happening. We have our Black Excellence Gala coming up in April 2026.
So make sure you guys
just follow us, stay tuned, and yeah, you can. I'm always in all those spaces too. You can find
say
me
hi
over
to
there.
Glynis when you see her. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you guys for watching another episode of Spilling the Tea.